So basically, in a nutshell, I work on making the patterns and getting the designers' ideas on stage. Either make the patterns or I find the correct patterns that need to go on stage. I instruct the members of my team on cutting the fabric and constructing the garments. I go into fittings and I work with the designer and the actor to make sure everything fits properly and works well for what the designer wants. Basically, just making sure that the designer's designs come to life. Basically, the designer will, design the show and then they bring me the designs. And once we have like the cast list and the go ahead from the shop manager and Heather for what things are getting built and what things aren't, I take my pieces and I analyze the renderings. I figure out what questions I need to ask. I look at the research that they've given me. I do my own research, and then once that's all done, the designer and I get together and I just ask them a ton of questions, making sure that I understand where their head's at as far as their design. I just want to clarify any uncertainties that their renderings have, just so that I can make sure that they're getting what they want. We also will discuss fabrics and what kinds are best for what they've designed. I will tell them how much of the fabrics I need to make them. Um, and I also collaborate with them like during fittings and make sure that everything looks right on the actors. Then during the like dress rehearsals, we'll make sure that everything is kind of like finalized and finished and looking right. But I work very closely with them throughout the whole process. So for any like general period show, designers will often have their own research for each particular character that kind of inspired their design, and they'll usually give that to me or I request it just so that I know what exactly they're thinking about for that design. But then I also look at books. I have a lot of books that I look at that have period patterns or just any kind of pictures. I look online at different time periods just so that I can really understand the silhouettes and the different articles of clothing. I also have a pretty close relationship with the Elizabeth Sage collection on campus. If I talk to them ahead of time, I'm able to go and look at actual period garments and really get like into the nitty gritty of what is in those in those clothing pieces. I also, for this particular show, since it's in the 70s, we have a really extensive commercial pattern collection in our costume shop. And so for a couple of the pieces that we're building, we're actually using patterns from the 1970s. A super great resource is commercial patterns.